Tuesday, June 18th, I spent 13 hours ironing a 3-course meal because you guys chose that on this week's Instagram poll. I made flatbreads and lemon thyme sauce, lamb chops and couscous, and a full-on crepe cake on an iron, and then between my filming studio and the next day, the SD card with all of the footage has disappeared. This has not happened to me in a very long time. I wanted to break down in tears. I still kind of do, to be honest. But here we are, pulling an all-nighter. It is 4 a.m., filming the Bon Appetit Gusher video that was set for this Sunday, but has been moved up to today. But what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Sorry to depress you with that story right off the bat. Maybe it was entertaining, maybe some of you laughed at my expense. Either way, like I said, I am pulling an all-nighter to film and edit Bon Appetit's Gushers, of course, made by Claire herself. This is the third installment, I believe, of the Bon Appetit tests. These take a little bit longer. I also really liked Gushers as a kid. I have not had them in a very long time, though. I no longer enjoy that weird, like, starchy aftertaste at the back of your tongue of, like, gelatin-based snacks like this. Although I say that, and right on the box it says no artificial flavor and gelatin-free. I know we use gelatin in this. That's strange. Either way, I'm putting all of my faith in Claire for this one. It should be interesting regardless of how it turns out. So let's get right into it. Now, based on how artificially manufactured these things seem, you might guess that you're gonna need 50 ingredients to recreate them, but you would actually be wrong. It's not too many. I just grabbed 2 different juices that I was gonna use as my flavoring, some gelatin and pomegranate molasses, sugar, water, green apples, and lemon. That's pretty much it. With that being said, though, there are some interesting pieces of equipment we're gonna need that we've never used before. So I grabbed some paintbrushes. That's pretty normal. We're gonna use this to seal up our gummy halves at the end. Some candy molds, for very obvious reasons. These are hexagonal, which I think is the exact shape that Gushers come in. And last but not least, literal full-on needles. The fact that you can buy this 12-pack of needles for a couple dollars on Amazon was quite surprising. It's also going to be very difficult to avoid stabbing myself when I'm trying to fill them later, but we'll cross that hurdle when we get there. Step number 1 is to chop up your green apples. I think now would be an appropriate time to make it very clear that I'm going to be having Claire's recipe. This is a result of me only having 1 of those hexagonal candy molds instead of the 3 or 4 that she had. And since you have to refrigerate these overnight, it would be dumb to make such big batches because it would just take days, and we don't have time, as you guys know. But once I simmered off all of my apples for a half hour and extracted all of that pectin, I strained them in a fine mesh sieve. I kind of lightly pushed down to get as much liquid out of this as possible without just straight up shoving the solids through. And then you're gonna combine that liquid along with 2 1/3 cups of white sugar and then some of that freshly squeezed lemon juice. Again, this is just half of what she's using. This is also a ton of sugar, it seems. And supposedly this makes an apple jelly that is supposed to solidify when it's in the fridge for a few minutes and then make little ribbons when you, like, push your finger through it. It's so funny how all these Bon Appetit recipes really expose me for my lack of culinary knowledge. You would think of however many years of BuzzFeed tests I would be familiar with some of these processes, but no, it's all new to me. Anyways, while our apple jelly is cooling, we're gonna condense our juice flavorings. I'm pretty certain you could use whichever juices you want, really. I went with pomegranate, blueberry, and mango, just because I think it'll work well with the pomegranate molasses, and I really like these flavors. Unfortunately, we then have to prepare my second least favorite ingredient in the kitchen, some unflavored gelatin. You guys know how disgusting this stuff is. And like I mentioned, real Gushers don't have this in there, which I find fascinating. This final Gusher mix is going to comprise of our apple jelly, some of the gelatin, and some of the reduced juice. And once the gelatin melts down and it comes to a bit of a simmer, you're pretty much ready to fill up our molds. I quickly whipped up another batch of gelatin and did the same thing with the mango, and we are now here. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that spraying these molds with some nonstick cooking spray is essential. Do not forget to do it, as if so many of you are gonna make Gushers at home after this. And then one by one I began the grueling process of filling up each individual cavity. Into the fridge these went for a full 14 hours to set, and the following day I've removed them from the fridge. They look like they set up nicely. The only problem is after I dipped them in hot water, they refuse to come out. After I probably melted half of the gummy from all the hot water and cracked my mold in multiple spots, I got some of them out, so I tried to start hollowing the middles with a plastic straw, and this by far was the longest step in this entire process. Just imagine yourself spending between 40 and 50 seconds for each one of these little stupid gummies. They were incredibly fragile and nearly impossible to not puncture the top. I've said this multiple times in the past, but things like this really hammer it home for me. You do not realize what the people at Bon Appetit and Tastemade and Tasty go through until you try one of these yourself. I'm already sleep deprived. I think I'm hallucinating, especially because once you have all of them hollowed out and they sit in the fridge for another 20 minutes, you have to melt down the rest of your gummy mix and then brush each little side of your two halves when you stick them together. I think we all just need to put a collective F in the chat for Claire and the things that she goes through and does for us. The ironic part about this whole spiel is that I always watch those videos and feel terrible, I feel so bad for them, and then realize in a few days or weeks or months it'll most likely be me in their position, so how bad should I really feel here? Thank goodness the very last step in this is to slap on your needle, grab some of your pomegranate molasses straight out of the jar, and then inject each and every one of these with pretty much as you can fit inside. I feel like I'm getting a decent amount in there. I can't really tell. Maybe if I moved on to the mango one so I could actually see how much I'm getting in there. It only really looks like a few drops, but I'm scared to push it and then make them explode, so the flavors should all be there, so let's see how they taste. I'm just not realizing how ugly these are plated and all the brown pomegranate juice underneath. If I had even one F to give, I would have plated them better, but not today. Just to remind ourselves again, I'm gonna try one Gusher. They definitely feel much more durable. They're a little more ugly shaped than these. They're very unique. I want to say it's just straight flavored corn syrup in them. Is it a candy? Is it a snack? Is it both? I don't know. Anyways, let's try one of mine. Ooh. This is always a fear of mine whenever I'm making anything with gelatin. Alright, that one's better. Just getting the full force of the unflavored gelatin flavor. That's what's occurring here. I definitely did not get enough pomegranate molasses in there. I think that is a nice tartness on the back end. If there was more in there, it'd probably mask it a little bit better, but I cannot say I'm a fan. These ones aren't terrible. The flavor's a little more strong. Maybe I reduced the juice more, so it was more intense. But at least they're better than the Pringles. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, slap a like on this one for me. If you could see my eye bags, you know why. Give me a like in sympathy. If one day, miraculously, I come across that SD card, I will probably upload it because it took so much time and money, but no guarantees, so don't hold your breath. Follow me over on Twitter and Instagram if you do not already. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you had a better week than I did. Peace.
Yeah, with the M without the AD. Flipping burgers and my money super lazy. Try and make a meal tonight, they ain't paying me. Try and supersize my life with my 18. Yeah, our style wasn't wavy, but we had a vision. We could make it out.